Okay, so let's take a deeper look at working with images and processing. I have two images over here. I've got this leaf PNG. I'm going to drop that into the sketch, and then tree.jpg. I'm going to drop that into the sketch. To verify that, I can go to Sketch, Show Sketch Folder, Data Folder. There they both are. Okay. One more thing I want to point out is that the tree.jpg is 600 pixels by 600 pixels because I want to use that as the background. So the size of my sketch window needs to be the same size as my background image. Okay. The first thing that I want to do is type in p_image here, and that's the data type that we're going to use, and we're going to create a variable of data type p_image. Okay. And I want to do another one here, and we'll call this one BG. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so I've created two variables here of the data type p_image. Okay. IMG for image, and I'm going to have that one be the leaf, and then BG for background, and we'll have that one be the tree. Okay, I could have just named this leaf and tree as well, or whatever I wanted to. They're variables. These are just placeholders, and right now they're empty placeholders. We need to actually, load these images into those variables. Okay. But I wanted to call this one BG for background, just to be more clear of the reason I'm using this image. And IMG for a variable, just variable name, just, it's a pretty common convention, IMG. Okay, so let's go ahead and set everything up. And so, of course, we need to actually set up, okay, just like we've been doing, okay? And open and close curly braces. Remember, anything within here will only be executed once, unless we repoint to it, which we'll do at the end of this little tutorial here. We'll actually repoint to setup again, but we'll get there. So for the most part though, just think of setup as something that's only run once, and think of your draw block as something that is executed continuously. Okay, so inside of the setup, let's go ahead and do the size of our window. And again, that's 600 pixels by 600 pixels because that's the same size as this tree image. Okay, so we've done that. Let's go ahead and, load these images. So we have the variable IMG here. Whoops. And that's going to equal load image. And, double quotes, quotation mark there. Leaf.png, quotation mark, close parentheses, semicolon. Okay? And let's go ahead and do the same thing with BG. So BG equals load image. And that's going to be tree.jpg. Okay, easy enough, right? All right, and if we run the sketch right now, nothing's going to happen except for we'll have a 600 by 600 pixel blank window. Okay, with the default color. Let's go ahead and change that. Let's go ahead and have a background BG. Okay, and let's talk about this. So background. We have, remember before we could go ahead and give it a color value in here, like 0, and that will make it black. Okay, now we're giving it BG, okay, which is just a variable that now has the loaded up value of tree JPEG. So let's try that. There's our tree background, okay, easy enough. Now, let's go ahead and do something a little more interesting. Usually to do things that are more interesting, we need to leave the setup block and go into the draw block. So we're doing that now. All right, open and close curly braces, same thing that we've been doing. And let's go ahead and, let's put this image, let's draw this image on here, but let's make it happen only when we want to by pressing the mouse, okay? So in order to do that, we need to have an if statement in here. So if mouse pressed, okay, like so, and then open and close curly braces. And let's talk about this now. Now, this is our draw block, right? Open and closed. So anything that happens in here will be executed continuously. This is our if statement, and this is that block right here. So anything that happens within this block will only occur when mouse is pressed. Okay, so what should we do? Let's add an image. So we have image. What image? IMG. Okay, and what is IMG? IMG is leaf.png. Okay, so image. Now, the next two are going to be coordinates, okay? We could do, 200 pixels in, 200 pixels down, but I want to do mouse X and mouse Y. That way it's going to follow the mouse around, okay? And let's go ahead and run the sketch right now. Okay, so nothing's happening, and I click the mouse, and our image shows up. Our image shows up, our image shows up. I can hold down the mouse and draw them all over the place. Okay. Something you might notice, though, is that the image is not, the cursor is not centered with the image. If I come over here and here's where my cursor is and I click, See that? It's next to it. It doesn't quite line up. Okay, and the reason for that is that this is a PNG image, so it has transparency. Okay, and so really there's transparency around this in a box. Okay, it's just the way this image is shaped right here. Okay, so we can actually fix that by typing in image mode, okay, center. All right, let's talk about this. Image mode, remember you can always look up anything that you want in the processing reference. Look at that. Okay, there it is. Everything about using image mode right there. Pretty helpful. So notice the camel casing, and notice that center right here is all in caps. Okay, let's go ahead and try this now. All right, so I'm right in the center of this tree here with my cursor, and there's my leaf. Exactly what I needed. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something a little more interesting. Well, we've already seen from the previous video that we can control the color and opacity of our images. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you remember, we do that with tint, all right? So tint, and then we have some values in here. At first, let's go ahead and just go full red, 0 green, 0 blue, okay? And if you're confused about RGB, remember to check our RGB tutorial. And let's go ahead and run the sketch. And look at that, red leaves. Okay, easy enough, red leaves. So let's go ahead and add some opacity to it. So now we have red leaves that are a little bit transparent. Okay, and you can see a little bit transparent. Maybe we'll go a little more extreme with that. 10. Okay, now you can see that I have to really hold still for that leaf to show up. Okay, all right, and I have to admit, that's not as fun. Let's just go 44. Why not? Kind of just making that number up. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and, well, we know how to randomize values like this, so let's randomize some values like this. So let's go ahead and just do random 255, and let's give it a random of green as well. 255, and we'll do the same thing. Let's go ahead and stretch this out a bit for you. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with blue here. So random 255. Okay, like so. And let's go ahead and run the sketch. Okay, there, and it looks like we're flashing all these different colors, okay? And it might be a little too bit transparent. What we can do though, let's just go ahead and randomize the transparency, okay? So we'll random the transparency from, let's see, 40 to 255, okay? Okay, so there we go. Some of them are transparent and some of them are not. All right. Okay, so this seems to be working just fine. When I stop and I start, it just keeps drawing on top of it. And now that I've kind of lost the entire black and white image, when I draw more leaves on there, it doesn't really seem to make much of a difference. So it'd be nice if I could actually clear the whole sketch, right? And then start over again. So let's go ahead and try that now. So let's see here. I need to leave the draw block because if it remember from when we were drawing shapes in earlier tutorials, where depending on where you place background, will actually give different effects to how the image is being refreshed. So if I actually have the image refreshed over and over again, it's going to not create this trail, and creating this trail is kind of something that I want to do. So sorry if that's confusing. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So what I want to do is I want to be able to refresh the image outside the draw block only when I choose. Okay, and so whenever I choose, I want the let's say I want it to return to this state right here. Okay, so we need to leave the draw block and create a new function. And I want to create a key pressed function. So let's go ahead and type in void. Okay, so void key pressed, right? Open and close parentheses, and then open and close curly braces. Okay, now anything that happens inside here is a function that only occurs when keys are pressed. Okay, what keys? Let's set that up. How do we do that? With an if statement. So if, and in this case, if open parentheses key equal, you need double equals in here. Okay, so if key is, let's do B for background. Okay, now notice I didn't use double quotation marks here like when we named files. Okay, it's just these single ones right here. Okay, all right, like so. Okay, so if the key that's pressed is B, now we have to create another block or another open and close curly braces and that is for this if statement. Okay, so if I highlight this, see how everything that's inside this block right here is part of the if statement. If I highlight this, everything that occurs within these is inside the key pressed. Okay, and we'll set up another key pressed function after this, and you'll see why that's useful to know. So anyway, back to where we were. If the key that's pressed is B, then do something. Okay, and in this case, I just want to go back to setup. Okay, it's actually pretty easy, right? Go back to setup. What setup? This setup. Okay, that's why I was saying that yes, this is only executed once, and draw block is executed continuously. Unless you do something like this, then you can actually execute setup again. So let's go ahead and try that. Oh, we got an error here, and the reason why we have that error is, let's see here. If we highlight this, if we highlight this right here, this is all part of the if block. So we're still inside that draw block. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm going to cut that out and leave the draw block. Okay, so how do we leave the draw block? Well, let's highlight this curly brace. There's the draw block. So I have to leave the draw block, okay? Sorry about that, although it's good to actually show you that. It's going to happen all the time. It's good to know how to deal with it. So there we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run the sketch. No errors. All right, and let's go ahead and draw something. All right, so we've drawn something, and we decided this is not our amazing artwork that we want, and I'm going to press the B, and it's gone. Okay, and then I can go ahead and draw the amazing artwork that I did want. There we go. All right, so I can delete it again. So that's a way to return to setup. All right, that's a pretty nice feature right there, okay?